Wonderful job. Gianna Needhammer is our guest artist for the evening. What a delight to have her here, as well as to have our entire band. Susan and Josh and Kent and Rob are here. We are blessed. And we started out with a little magic from Xanadu. The only thing missing from that song was that Gianna was not on roller skates, as they are in the play. I'm a big musical fan, so I know these crazy things. You too, huh? Yeah. So welcome. Welcome to Mile High Church. Welcome to Wednesday Night Live. We're delighted to have you here this evening. I know that there is so much going on, especially right now in our country, as we're facing oftentimes divisiveness and different opinions. And so I invite us just to take a deep breath where we come into this space and have an opportunity to join together as one, in one. And I offer us this wonderful reminder of something that Rumi said in a poem once. It's just a portion of a poem that he has that's so very popular, where he says that out beyond all ideas of right doing and wrongdoing, there is a field. I will meet you there. And so as we come together for spiritual community this evening, I invite us to stand in that field. If we've been spending the day having opinions about what's going on and what's happening in our world, in our personal world, and opinions about what we should be doing and how we want to live our life, let's just take a deep breath and set them all aside and allow ourselves to get present to the presence together as we continue our service. It's going to be a great night. We're so thrilled you're here. And now let's get back to some more wonderful music from Gianna and our amazing band.
Think about it, there must be a higher love down in the heart or hidden in the stars above. Without it, life is wasted time. Look inside your heart and I'll look inside of mine. Things look so bad everywhere. In this whole world, what is fair? We walk the line and try to see, falling behind and what could be. Oh, bring me a higher love. Bring me a higher love. Oh, bring me a higher love. Where's that higher love? I keep thinking of love, 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 love. Bring a higher love, love, love.
Gianna, beautiful. Thank you so much. Another one of my favorite songs. Bring me a higher love. And here comes my higher love right now. There he is. Reverend Josh Reeves. Yes, definitely one of my higher loves for sure. And we are delighted to be continuing our Back to Basics series this evening. And so excited for this series called Evolved Spirituality. We've been talking about it on Sunday mornings, and Josh and I have been going back and forth between the messages, and we thought that Wednesday nights would be a really great opportunity just to continue the conversation, to go a little deeper. Yep, go a little deeper with it, and so that's our hope tonight. Last Sunday we talked about inspired introspection, becoming your possibilities, and so we're going to continue. One of the things I love about these kinds of Wednesday nights is that Josh and I get to dialogue a little bit more, to hear a little more personal stories sometimes, and just have fun with it. So I'm looking forward to that.
Always love sharing the stage with you, Michelle.
Me too. Thank you so much. So we're going to jump right in because I think inspired introspection is a really powerful quality to contemplate and to bring forth in one's life, and that we all have ways that we access inspired introspection. And so I thought we would firstly, Josh and I thought we would firstly start out by letting you especially share with us your sense of inspired introspection, because I suspect you've had quite a bit of that in your lifetime. And maybe you could share how that shows up for you and how it manifests in your life, how you access it.
Sure, and I think we all have it. I love in the 80s, I think it was the last proper book that Joseph Campbell wrote. He called it The Inner Reaches of Outer Space.
Oh,
and it was
that.
this idea that this universe, these cosmos within us is perhaps in many ways the least explored area. And even though we're often in our surface mind and introspection, sometimes we miss out on the depth that we can find within us and through developing an inner life. And, I'm a big believer that my surface thoughts, hopefully they're not all that creative. If not, life would get really, really weird. But I do think when I'm consistently in those surface thoughts, they're creative. But the deeper I go, introspection at its most simple could be my private thoughts, but at an even deeper level, it's kind of like God's workshop for my soul.
Sure.
And perhaps you've had an experience of just asking a question from a deeper place within you and seeing how your life works to bring about the answer. And, just one example of that I wanted to share tonight was, about 12 years ago, I was living in San Diego, and I think I was just sitting on my couch, and I asked the question, whose eyes do I live in? It was kind of a deep question. I meant it in one way to say, in my everyday life, am I living in my own point of view? Am I living in the perceived eyes of my father, or in the cross eyes of an ex-partner, or in judgment of myself? And I also meant it in a deeper way, in a spiritual way. What does it mean to really live in a vision that's sacred? And yet it was a deep thought, but it wasn't something I spent a lot of time with. I think I just forgot about it, and I went back to eating my burrito and watching Family Guy on TV. And a couple nights later, I went to a bar, and I met a gentleman named Neil, who was from Ireland. He had a strong Irish accent. And there's always something when you meet someone who doesn't seem like they're in the right place, like they're a real character, and it's always a sign that there's an adventure afoot. Yes. And we had a long conversation and probably a few too many drinks, so it was a deep conversation, and he shared that his favorite book was The Unbearable Lightness of Being by Milan Kundera, well-known book, movie, romantic tale, but really a book of philosophy. Yes. And so, I got to get that book. I've never read it. I knew of it, but then again, I forgot and went home. A couple days later, I got a book from a friend in the mail, and the book wasn't The Unbearable Lightness of Being by Milan Kundera, but on the first page there was a quote from The Unbearable Lightness of Being by Milan Kundera, and it was another sign, you got to get this book, Josh. So, but again, I forgot. 2 nights later, I went to a restaurant. It was a Georgian restaurant, which is close to the setting of the book, which was kind of a weird place to go in the first place. And what's the first thing I read on the menu? The Unbearable Lightness of Being, right on the top. I don't know why it was there. And so it was kind of a spiritual uncle moment, when the universe gives us a message and you have to give in. And so I went and got the book, and I had an airline trip, so I was on a plane, and so I got to read the whole book. It's not that long in one sitting. And I'm reading the book, and all of a sudden I hit this particular passage, and it's in that moment that I remembered the question that I had asked. And this is the little passage that I hit in there. Bear with me, it's a little long. He says,
fine.
"We all need someone to look at us. We can be divided into 4 categories according to the kind of look we wish to live under. The first category longs for the look of an infinite number of anonymous eyes. In other words, for the look of the public. The second category is made up of people who have a vital need to be looked at by many known eyes. They are the tireless hosts of cocktail parties and dinners. They are happier than the people in the first category, who, when they lose their public, have the feeling that the lights have gone out in the room of their lives. This happens to nearly all of them sooner or later. People in the second category, on the other hand, can always come up with the eyes they need. Then there is the third category, the category of people who need to be constantly before the eyes of the person they love. Their situation is as dangerous as the situation of the people in the first category. One day the eyes of their beloved will close and the room will go dark. And finally, there is the fourth category, the rarest, the category of people who live in the imaginary eyes of those who are not present. They are the dreamers." And so pretty deep philosophy there. But it helped lead me to a deeper understanding of what it was for me about what it means to live in my own vision and in the eyes of others. And it helped me form a philosophy. I think I came to the perspective that, there are 3 ways that people see each other. There are people who see you for who you aren't. Those are the people who judge you based upon stereotypes, how you look, what your race is, what they perceive your class to be, et cetera, et cetera. They can also be the people that hold you to your past, who you used to be.
Right, right.
And then there's people who see you for who they want you to be, the roles that you play for them. That can be positive, mom or dad, but it can sometimes be negative when people pigeonhole you just to be one thing. But then lastly, there are the people who see you for who you want to be, who see you as your highest truth. These are your teachers, your mentors, your close friends. And these are the best kind of people, and they can help uplift you to that sacred vision where you learn to see yourself in the eyes of the sacred, which for me, if we can't see ourselves in our highest vision, how can we ever achieve it? So, a little bit of introspection, even a little question, can go a long way.
Sure can. Wow. Listen to that, the whole path of that one question that you ask yourself and how it all just came together.
Again, and that goes back to this idea of God's workshop in our soul. We
Right.
co-create, sometimes unintentionally, and if we're willing to follow it, it can lead us to incredible answers.
I think it's a lot about synchronicity. There's so much when we fall into something that we have a sense of intentionality around, it's like synchronicity happens. Even in the brain, they talk about this part of our brain that's called the reticular formatory system that operates for us when we focus in on something. And the examples that we can use in brain science is that if you let's say you want to get pregnant, everywhere you go, you see pregnant people. If you're thinking about buying a certain car, everywhere you go, you see that car. Now, are there suddenly more pregnant people or more of those cars on the road? Or is it just that our brains, like a search engine, are focused? And so what I hear you saying is that that kind of introspection sets up a level of intentional focus that allows you to kind of appear to stumble into things that are helpful to it.
Yeah, beautifully said. What, the reticulatory, what?
It's called the reticular formatory system
Oh
of the
my
brain.
gosh, I'm going to take a note on that.
Yeah, I really love studying the brain because I think so much of what the science is showing us about our brain, teachings like ours have been telling us for years, and it seemed kind of woo-woo, and now science is going, well, actually your brain is helping you out in that way to see certain things.
Yeah, and our mind, so in our
Yes.
brain, but that spirit around us as well. And I'd love to hear how introspection has shown up in your life.
Well, some of the first moments that I felt a strong sense of introspection, I've noticed in my life with big decisions. Throughout my life, as I've had a big decision, and I kind of feel like when a big decision came to me in my early life, this intense, almost introspection, literally, I was not always caught up in, well, Josh, what do you think about me doing that? Or what do you think about me doing that? If I had a big decision to make, I found myself uncharacteristically almost imploding inward. And I would contemplate the decision, and I would sort of be quiet about the decision. I was famous in my younger days for putting on a record album and just laying in the dark and listening and singing way too loudly, and I would have all sorts of things just pop into my awareness. So I would put myself in the presence of creativity if I was looking to create something out of my life. And one of the first powerful moments of introspection that I had is that I had this moment where I finally surrendered to becoming a minister. Okay, I'm going to do it, whatever it takes. But the doubt started to surface, and the resistance was still a little bit there. And so
You were only 12.
I was very young. And so what I also learned is that another thing that helped me make decisions was taking a walk. And I know you're a runner. I wonder, do you find introspection shows up for you when you're running? Yeah. So I took a walk, and I went to Lakeside Mall, which I don't think exists anymore, but I went to the mall, and I was walking around saying, okay, I've felt this call to ministry. Should I do this? Is this really what I should do? And I remember coming around a corner and looking up, and there was a shoe store there, and they had that Nike sign, big, huge Nike sign, just do it. And it was one of the first moments that I felt like life was giving me a sign, that synchronicity, that feeling like I'm contemplating something, and now I've been just presented with a potential answer. And I don't even know that, I'm sure other people have experienced this. When I saw it, it felt like it was just for me. And it had a penetration into my being, into my gut, where it was like, okay, there's my answer. I'm going to just do it. And that was the final moment, really, the final moment of my resistance. And so then in taking on this life that we take on, and writing talks and teaching classes and creating content and being with people at times when you just don't know what to say as they're sharing their story, I feel like our role in life, this career that we've chosen, demands that we find ways for that kind of introspection, that we've got to be constantly nurturing and bringing forth inspired introspection. Otherwise, we couldn't ever get up here and say anything that would inspire us or anyone else. And so I've learned now over the years that in that creative process, whether it's a problem I want to solve in my own life, a talk I want to write, or something I want to create, there are some really key things that I want to bring forth and suggest to anyone who's listening that they might be things that would support you too. And they include things like taking a drive, taking a walk or a run. I take hot baths a lot. I meditate a lot. I will find myself just in front of a fireplace, in front of I know when I go to the ocean, I feel this way. Those moments of just a quiet that sort of settles in. And I liked how you said it's like God's workshop. It's a quiet that settles in. It almost feels like a volume knob of my personality, my looking everywhere, talking, being, go, 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 just kind of gets turned down. And some quietude can be present in me, which allows a vaster sense of possibility to emerge through me as I'm contemplating something. And so I think inspired introspection becomes a quality that when we seek it out, we reap the benefits of it greatly, and when we reap those benefits, they lead us forward into good things. It has been through that kind of inspired introspection that some of my best ideas have ever come about, whether it's some change I want to make in our home, or some change I want to make in my life, or some idea that I want to share. And I find I love how you're a great quote person. You bring forth amazing quotes. And I feel like a lot of times finding quotes like that give me that same feeling. That oh, wow. And that's probably why memes are so popular on social media, and why we seek out quotes so often, is that we all are seeking that feeling of, Oh, wow, that's great. For inspiration, because we love to be inspired.
Yeah. Someone once asked Joseph Campbell how he meditated, and he said, I underline sentences. And
Sure,
I
sure.
resonate with that. And,
Yes.
our whole philosophy is based upon this idea that there's an infinite intelligence
Yes.
all around us and within us. Carl Jung, and I'm going to throw out a bunch of quotes now, he said, the essential question for each of us is, am I related to something infinite or not?
Right.
And so part of the adventure of the science of mind is to ask ourselves that question and create that space for that intelligence within us. And, our belief is when we create space, when we take the walks, when we do those things that maybe we don't think is going to do us any material good out there in the universe, but it's going to warm our soul, it brings forth that depth. And it reminds me of something Emerson said too. He said, my soul must be in need of an organ here. Shall I not assume the post? Which means for me that there's all this surface Josh stuff, which is just fine. I won't judge it, but there's more to all of us than that. And when we can create through introspection the space, it's amazing what can come forth. And it's not just the creativity of mind and manifesting cool stuff and giving cool sermons or whatever it is. It's a connection to what's most sacred. And that's what I know about you, and that why I know you're such an introspective person is because you have this groundedness about you. You have this presence about you that no matter what's going on in the day, there's part of you that is close to that soul within you, that even when you forget about it, isn't too far away. It's a walk away. It's a meditation away.
Right. And that's the point, I think, is that when we develop this habit and find our way into our inspired introspection, it can inspire us to the possibilities of how we want to live our life. But that's part of what I love about this teaching, and you just mentioned that, is that then it becomes, okay, I want to contemplate the possibility of what does God, Spirit, the infinite, what are the thoughts of God around what's going on in my world or in our collective world? Who am I in relationship to the divine? These are possibilities that our teaching guides us into, and in order to have a continual deepening of awareness in that, we've got to be open to that kind of inspired introspection. And so I want to ask you next to tell us and to share with us what have been some of the greatest possibilities that have emerged in your awareness out of inspired introspection.
Yeah. I think the easiest way for me to answer that is to say it's a way of life where we realize that we're living with a creative intelligence which we co-create with and can inform us along the way. To go back to the basics of our teaching, people hear science of mind and they open up that text and Ernest Holmes is going to tell us what the mind is.
Right.
And very early on he says, what is mind? He doesn't say it this way. I don't know what the hell the mind is, but I know it does stuff.
Yeah.
So let's explore it, not with fear, but with awe, not with trepidation, but with a willing heart, to realize that God's story in your life may be different than God's story in my life. But if we're willing to work with that presence, amazing possibilities will happen. And the things that have shown up in my life that have told me I'm not as in charge as I think I have are the incredible relationships that I have.
Sure.
The connections, to realize the people that I've run into along my path and life journey that are really these God ideas that I could never write up in even the most imaginative novel. This is friendships, this is work relationships, this is romantic relationships, this is kids, this is parents. It's pretty incredible. It's strangers. The relationships and connections that I've been able to be blessed with. I didn't choose them, but they show up for me as part of this path, and that's been kind of the wonderful demonstration for me. How about for you?
Well, I would say the same things that you're pointing to, and that I just notice that I feel this ongoing sense of blessings about how things and people generally tend to work out. Problems or challenges tend to work out, and relationships tend to show up, and resources tend to show up. And because of my experience of those kinds of flowing possibilities, I have found that this teaching has allowed me to sometimes be one of those very irritating people to others who's just sure most of the time things are going to work out. I'm a big fan of the theater, of course, and it's like, that wonderful show that about love. I'm suddenly blanking on it with Gwyneth Paltrow. You know, they're joking about the show. It'll work out. It just always does. And that's kind of how I feel, because I've learned that when I surrender into that space, that the greatest possibilities of my life have shown up. And if I try to force and push and manipulate, and I get too attached, I think that's the thing that I have found about possibilities, that the more I'm attached, it's like choking off that inspired introspection that guides me along the way. And the more I can remain open, and I can always have strong intentions, and I can always have my preferences, and I can move forward in the direction of things, that life unfolds itself. And if I allow it to unfold in that very powerful way, then like you, I find my relationships thrive, you know, the people in my life become amazing possibilities, the opportunities in my life. I never would have imagined, having answered the phone years ago, that I would have the possibility of being able to serve this great community in this way. You know, the opportunities to be in a beautiful relationship with my husband, the opportunities to go and do things in the world and travel in the ways that I have. Life just continues to open, but I think it's because I'm nurturing that and allowing that to happen.
Yeah, beautiful. And you would have never written it up that way, I'm guessing, but through that introspection
No.
and trust,
Yes.
it showed up for you.
Yes.
And, you know, this creative mind, it doesn't just work for us as individuals, it works for us collectively as well. You know, in
Right.
these last 12 months, you know, I want to say we've been made raw to the bone in the sense of the things that we see in the world. You
Yeah.
know, even standing up here and not having you in the sanctuary it's a heartbreaking experience
It
twice a
is.
week
It
whenever
is.
we're here, to know that there's a virus out there that's threatening people we love, the most vulnerable. Many of you have had it and moved through it, and to see us bumbling through as a country trying to figure it out, but we're gonna figure it out. You know, seeing idiots raid our capital,
Yes.
you know, threatening our what's most sacred to us, and seeing that, and it takes us raw to the bone. And yet, you know, this thing is saying sometimes we have to see who we aren't to bring forth who we are,
Right.
you know, to bring forth that greater consciousness and that creativity. It's not like God saying, I'll pull this one on them, see
Yeah.
how they do with that. It's
Yeah.
not that.
No.
It's how we all have to work together to work through our challenges to bring forth the jewels, the truths that are within us, which are unfortunately so easily forgotten in the midst of you know, manic everyday life. We have to
Right.
remember who we are as individuals, but also as humanity. And when we remember both of those, it gets a little better for all of us.
It definitely does. And to continue to have that faith that we're being led forward together into even greater possibilities, even though it can be challenging at times.
Yeah, you know, to see crazy stuff out there, the first thing is to not trust.
Right.
But it really, for me, it's a call to remember what's possible, and that we human beings are vehicles for the possible. And we can do it individually, and we can do it collectively too. Not by ranting on Facebook, perhaps, but by creating spaces for each other to go deeper, to have greater discussions, and to really love one another, even when it's tough loving one another.
Exactly. Beautiful. Well, I invite us all just to take a deep breath. Thank you, Josh, for this great time together.
Yeah,
And
it's so great to get to
Yeah.
do this with you. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to be here with you.
Yes, and we do miss you very much. And I invite you now, as we continue on with our service, to just take a deep breath, and if you haven't already, begin to think about what creates inspired introspection in your life, and allow that to come forth. Maybe you feel it, maybe you see it as light. If you're like me and being in front of a roaring fire and a fireplace is part of it, then just close your eyes and imagine that right now, and take a deep breath and just say yes to it, and allow that light to have its way through you, that inspired introspection that is often like a flash of light. And we're going to just take a moment in silence, and then Gianna's going to sing to us.
the pieces of the brokenness inside. I am light. 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 I'm not the mistakes that I have made, or any of the things that caused me pain. I am not the pieces of the dream I left behind. I am light. 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 I am light.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you, band. Thanks again, Michelle. Thanks to our production team. Thanks to you for being with us. In my giving, I have a check that's mailed into the church every week, but it's on Wednesdays that I always give a little something extra. And so I love typing in Mile High and then, $20 or whatever it may be. But it's always a reminder whenever I give. It's such a reminder of what I get out of this place. The connections, the camaraderie, the community, the prayer support, the awesome services. It's such a joy to give, and so grateful for everyone who makes this church, but in particular this Wednesday night programming so special. A shout out to all of our ushers and volunteer teams and congregants who haven't been with us here on Wednesday night for a while, but I know we're on our way back soon. And thank you for continuing to support this awesome ministry. 45888 with that text to say Mile High, sending in your checks, giving online, however you do it, dropping it off. We're so grateful for you, and let us just take a moment to give thanks for the many blessings in the spiritual community, for the blessings that are the people of the spiritual community, and the blessing that is knowing that as we give, such is returned in incredible ways. And so it is.
sunshine, walking on sunshine. I feel the love, I feel the love, I feel the love that's really real. I feel the love, I feel the love, I feel the love that's really real. I'm on sunshine, baby. Oh, yeah, I'm on sunshine, baby. Oh, I'm walking on sunshine. Oh, I'm walking on sunshine. Oh, I'm walking on sunshine. Oh, and don't it feel good? Hey, all right now. And don't it feel good? I'll say it, I'll say it, I'll say it again now. And don't it feel good? Hey, now. And don't it feel good? And don't it feel good?
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Gianna. Thank you to you all. Beautiful job, beautiful job. And we are walking on sunshine. Here's what we're going to do next. We're going to walk on sunshine in our souls. We're going to do a prayer together. And one of the things that I love most about our teaching is that we have a very unique way of praying. And that song really is a great opener to prayer time because it is a little bit like walking on sunshine, because it's allowing that light that is already present within us to fully express itself. So we do what we call a spiritual mind treatment, a 5-step affirmative prayer process. So it's at one point during this prayer, I'm going to invite anyone who's listening to consider thinking or speaking aloud a name of someone or yourself that you would like to claim the quality that I'm speaking about for. I'll be really clear when I say that, so you'll know that that's time for you to do that. If you're all alone, you can do that. You can whisper the name. You can just think of the person, whatever works for you. But please join me as we walk on sunshine within us through prayer right now. So we take a deep breath and just feel ourselves sinking into that inner space of the Most High. It's up to you whether you close your eyes or not. Each one of us can find our way in that. But I'm closing my eyes right now and just allowing myself to reflect upon the beautiful nature of this universe, the eternality, the connection that exists through all things and all people. For we believe God, the source of this universe, to be everywhere present. We believe it to be the energy of life expressing itself fully and completely at all times, through all things, through all beings, through all relationships, through all conditions, everywhere present. It is the all that is, the totality of expression in this universe. And so I allow my mind and invite each one of us to just contemplate the divine presence. Feel it, sense it, breathe it. For as I contemplate and recognize that this presence is all there is, then it must be right where I am, must be right where every person who hears this prayer is. It must be that which we are. I recognize that presence operating in and through me as I speak this word, as the consciousness that I utilize in proclaiming these truths, and I recognize it as the very presence of every being everywhere, every being hearing this prayer. We are one. We are one in the light, in the love, in the wholeness that God is. We are one in the love, in the peace, in the abundance that God is. We exist right here and right now in the midst of it as it exists in the midst of us. And therefore, I can confidently stand in the awareness of this presence and speak my word on behalf of the beloveds who are listening to this prayer right now. And I claim and accept, firstly, peace. That we are infused with peace. A peace that passeth understanding. A peace that transcends any fear or stress or anxiety we may be feeling or sensing. We are anchored in peace. I claim and accept this for every being who chooses to align themselves with peace right now. And in order to choose to align ourselves, anyone who is declaring a deeper peace for themselves, I invite to speak the name of themselves or any loved one that they believe could use more peace this day. Just speak it, think it, say it. And I know that this universe is built upon the love of the divine, a deep, abiding, unconditional love that permeates our beingness. No matter who we are, where we've been, what we think we've done well or not well, the love of divine light is who we are. It pours through us. This presence is love. And so if we are feeling in alignment with a deepened sense of love and well-being this evening, I invite us to speak our word, to speak our name or the name of a beloved one whom we claim more love for. Love. Love. And at the core of every body is health and well-being, vitality and aliveness. I know this is the truth of our essence and of our energy. And we can align ourselves and proclaim and drink of that youth, of that health, for any moment that we choose to. Health and well-being is at the center of us. And so I invite anyone who chooses a greater sense of vibrancy in their health and well-being to speak their name or to speak the name of a loved one. And lastly, abundance. Abundance of resources, abundance of opportunities, abundance of synchronicities, abundance of financial good, whatever form that abundance may seek to express through our lives right now, we open our hearts and our minds to feel the sense of all good flowing through us and our abundant nature right where we are now. We breathe it in, we breathe it out. We live in the cycle of abundance. We claim it this day by claiming the truth and saying our name or the name of any loved one in the energy of abundance. And I am so grateful that not only are these qualities of being alive and well and vibrant in our lives, but so grateful to see them, to proclaim them, to affirm them right now, to stand as witness to this great good that is ours this moment. I am grateful. I give thanks. And in this grateful heart, I feel that sense of faith and trust that I have, that this word, this prayer that I have spoken is done right here and right now. It is being made manifest this very moment through each of our lives. And so in love and gratitude and a sense of absolute completion, I release this word now, releasing it into that law that makes it so. I know that it is done. I accept it. I let it be. And so it is. Amen. And so we take a deep breath with great gratitude. Once again, thank you so much for allowing us to be of service to your heart, your soul, your presence this evening, to be a part of spiritual community. There's always so much going on around here, and before we leave tonight, we want to be sure that you're aware of some key things that are happening. We've got some great classes coming up. As we said earlier, this is a Back to Basics series, and so if you're wanting to continue to explore basics with us, one of the best ways to do that is to take our Beyond Limits class, where you'll learn the basics of our teaching with Reverend Josh. It's on a love offering basis. We do want you to register, though, so you can go to the Mile High Church website under the classes tab and register for this class so we know that you're coming, and then you can give what is comfortable for you in the class as far as the payment goes. We also have a compassionate communication class starting with Reverend Simon. Both of these classes start on the 19th, and so if you would like to enroll in those, please do so quickly. We want you to also know that we understand that it's difficult to be apart right now. And so we've used Zoom a lot for classes and events, and we'd like to use Zoom to invite you into our community center. On Sunday mornings and Wednesday nights, we have a big community center that's open, and we can wander around and talk to each other and make connections, and we want to do that via Zoom. So this Sunday at 9 a.m., you can go into a Zoom room where we'll be, and we'll help you connect with other people. Or next Wednesday night at 6 o'clock, you can join us for a community room Zoom experience. So we hope you'll consider that. And this Sunday, we'll continue our Back to Basics series with Reverend Josh giving an amazing talk in our third part of our series, and we hope you will join us. So thank you once again for being with us. Let's go forth in love and light today and every day and release and let it go. And so it is.